Okay, so in this video, I would like to go into the management letter, or reportable items as we call them. And to do so, I'm going to start with the risk report. So I'm going to go here and just launch my risk report. Now you might remember from the earlier video when we looked at the risk report is that there's a lot of columns that you can actually show. We try to build different views for you that show you the right information at the different stages in the audit. So I'm just going to use this one, 520E.7, and we think this view is best suited for reviewing, finalizing your audit work. I'm going to have a look again at my salesman's bonus here, and what you can also see here is that besides the linking of the procedures and the work program, we also show you the completion response. So based on that, you would be able to see, okay, these procedures were linked to this risk and they've been completed without exceptions, or this one with. So based on that, you can now see, has my risk been addressed properly or not? Usually I think if there are exceptions, it might not be, but then those exceptions will also be caught in an issue and will be shown in the partner manager summary document, the document we just looked at in the prior video. Okay, so now let's say I want to, first of all, I can set my salesman bonus risk here for audit has properly addressed this risk. I can say yes, for example, click OK. The risk report will regenerate or will build up again, and now it will say yes here. If it's no, it will actually show up in bright red, so you can right away see, oh yeah, we need to do more work. I cannot sign off on this engagement yet. Let's now look at the controls and reportable items. So let's say, for example, that this control here was not effective. So we've done our testing, and instead of yes, we say no, it's not effective. It would show up with this little icon here indicating that it's not effective. So usually what you would now do is report that back to your client. And I can do that by creating a new reportable item here or here. So just go to the linkage and say create new. In a similar way that we've done with risks and controls, I can also import reportable items from another file, or I can download reportable items from a Caseware risk space. Now I'm just going to create a manual one, and I'm just going to say aged accounts list is process is not correct. Sorry for my bad example. Running out of fantasy a bit, coming up with proper examples. So here I can put my weakness. We have, I think, noticed that. Okay, again, the source is where I have created this reportable item. It's the same as with risks and controls, and addressed would probably be the actual management letter itself. Now the second portion here is the recommendation and response to that management letter point. And I think this is an area where accountants, auditors can add a lot of value to clients. So that's one of the reasons why we put in this feature and why we really think it's very useful. To explain a little bit here, we have one management letter point. So the aged accounts list process is not working. I document that and store that in my database. But depending on the size of my audit, I could now actually have to report the same point to multiple people, multiple bodies. So I could say, for example, one, I have to report it to the management included in the management letter. But I might also have to send a separate report to those charged with governance. So the technology that we developed allows you to create one management letter point and send it to 10 different letters, or include it in 10 different letters. That goes for the management letter point itself, but it also goes for the recommendations. So if I want to, I can now go here and create new recommendations. I can just go in and type my recommendations. But again, I can also use risk space here. And I think compared to risks and controls, where you just get just the description of the risk or the control, recommendations are actually a bit nicer. They give you a bit more extensive wording. They actually give you a whole paragraph of a possible recommendation. So let me just select 4 recommendations here in the revenues area. I didn't look at if they actually make sense, but just as an example, those are now downloaded into my reportable item. And as you can see, they're here. And through these little checkboxes, I can now control which recommendations should go in which letter. So the bottom 2 will now go into the management letter report, and the top 2 will only go into the report for those charged with governance. Well, maybe one should go in both of them. So what you could do as well is build up your own local risk library, like I've showed you with risks and controls, and you can have a vast selection of recommendations there. And maybe it's just the wording that you would want to tweak a little to include it in this letter or in that letter. It's completely up to you how you want to structure that. Okay. Going further, the roll forward, of course, quite relevant, I think. A lot of management letters that I've seen tend to have similar points from one year to the next. You just check if the client has made any changes, has changed the process. If they haven't, then unfortunately you have to report the same point again. But that's where the roll forward really can be a big time saver. If I wanted to structure it, I can group my management letter points in the actual letter and say I'm going to group it by financial reporting or one of the other business cycles or financial statement areas. Okay, I'm just going to click apply to save this management letter point. And right after that, let me just create a new one. I'm going to link it to this risk. Let's see. Sorry, I think I can do it here. Create new. And just something quickly, another reportable item. Okay, yeah, let me just download a couple of recommendations quickly. Okay, that's all fine. And I'm also gonna link that to a risk. Well, I actually might have gone over this point a little bit quickly, but because I've created the management letter point from a risk or from a control, it's automatically associated with that risk or control. And of course, I think that's that's very important because, well, if you report something in the management letter, you want to have that, I don't know if you call it audit trail, but that linkage to either the control that's not effective or the risk that might impact your financial statement. Okay, so I've created another reportable item. Just going to click OK. Everything is now saved and stored in the database. That also means I can leave the risk report. I just wanted to use this as the starting point and show you how the different objects are linked to each other. Now I can go to this area of my dashboard, the reports to those charged with governance. And you will find 2 documents here, the actual management letter itself and the management letter report. And let's start with that one. So a very common workflow is that that team members actually suggest or document potential management letter points during their work. And then at the end of the engagement, the supervisor, the manager, goes through all these suggested points and then actually decides which one goes in and which ones don't. That's what you can do with this management letter report. So this will group all your proposed, let's call it, management letter points. And it shows you also the linked risks, the linked controls. Here it's a little bit clearer. And if you wanted to make a change now, I can just double click. It will take me again to my reportable item dialog, and now I can make some changes here. I noticed that, yes, this one was not properly linked to the control, so I'm just going to fix that now. Oh, yeah, sorry, this one. Okay. And I'm okay with all these or both of these management letter points going into the actual management letter. So there's nothing here I need to change. I can just keep this, go back to my dashboard, and then go to the actual management letter itself. Sorry, wrong one. There, management letter. Now the management letter is also a case view document. We have a big group of clients that have been extremely efficient with creating letters in case view. I know for another group of users, they still prefer to use Microsoft Word, but I think if you do your letters in case view, we have all these checkboxes, these skip and hides, that you can predefine the paragraphs, the wording that you would want to use in your letters, and then by designing it once, you can prevent typos, you can make sure that people always use consistent wording. So there's actually a big benefit to creating letters in case view. Not everyone is aware of it. It takes a bit of organization, but if you're willing to invest that time, I can assure you that you will have major time savings once you have it up and running. So here the introductory wording of this letter, we just put in some default wording. This is something you can change. You have full access here. You can link cells, you can build in your skip and hides, change the formatting, the font and everything to really make it your management letter. Make sure that it fits with your letterhead and everything. That's all taken care of. If I scroll a little bit further here, that's where we have the audit findings. And in order to get my management letter points into this letter, I now have to click this refresh. So it's very similar to, I would say, the planning balance in the FSA, the part in manager summary. It's all refreshing or regenerating, getting the information from the database and then showing that here in the letter. Now you might notice these big red borders. That is to indicate that these points have been added just after the last time that I was in this management letter. So if I already had some points and I refresh again, only the new ones will be highlighted. Now what I like about this is that we did try to make it as much as a text editor. So this is the wording that actually comes from that dialog in the management letter dialog. But we didn't think that is the right way to let you modify and write the letter, because you don't want to be boxed in and just work in all those fields. So we give you this UI, this text editor type of environment, and you can just go in and type and modify whatever you want here in your management letter. Just be aware, if you hit refresh, those changes will come from the management letter points in the database, so you will lose your changes. Those changes will only be in the actual letter document right here. So I think that's a very useful feature, and there is a big focus, like everyone's saying, how the audit becomes more of a commodity, and it's the advice, where you can create value for your clients. So I think a proper management letter that really helps your client to be in control really adds a lot of value. Okay, I think that's almost the last video. No, sorry, I forgot. Yes, I was going to include something else in this video. So we're here close to the bottom of the engagement, close to the end. We've done the management letter here. These areas have an option for the representation letter, a placeholder to have the governance meeting notes if relevant. So that kind of leads us to the engagement wrap-up. Now there's one document linked here that's relevant. It's the audit completion checklists. You can see it has all these ISO references, so you can just go through, make sure you've dealt with everything properly. But that was not the key thing that I wanted to show you here. What I think is also very relevant is the lockdown and cleanup. And I've mentioned that a couple of times already. You can find it in the ribbon here, and it's actually 3 actions that are very closely related. With the year-end close, you can create a new file for the next year. and all your balances, your current balances, will move to the prior year. And what's really important is that all the knowledge of the client, all your audit documentation, all the tailoring that you've done in your file, the mapping, everything will be kept. So I think I started out with being 2014 this file. When I now do the year-end close and I roll forward, my 2015 file will be an exact copy of this 2014 file. So everything will be in, just my numbers will move to a prior year. A little side comment there on the update. Every year we ship out a new version. So when I take this file that's based on Audit 17, year-end 2014, and I do a year-end close, it copies over the file and creates my new engagement file for 2015, but that file will still be based on Audit International version 17. I then have to run what we call the client file update to update that client file to version 18, which will probably be released next year. But doing that process, we allow you to keep all your client-specific documentation, all your tailoring, and also move up to the latest technology. So the update will take around 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes per engagement file. We try to make that faster, but at the same time, the process is that complicated because we allow you to keep all your client-specific and engagement-specific customization and still allow you to go up to the latest version of the template. So you don't have to redo all your planning, you don't have to redo all that tailoring, which is what you would have to do when you create a new file based on the latest version. Besides that client file update per engagement, we also have batch update and year-end close tools available. I won't show you those, just wanted to mention that those are available if you have a vast number of audit engagements and you want to do a bulk update or a bulk year-end close. Tools for that are available. So please get in touch with us and we can provide you with a download link. Then the second option here is cleanup. So you might have noticed or you might remember the audit procedures. When you mark an audit procedure for deleted, it will still be in the work program in blue saying this is a deleted procedure. Not everyone is that happy with archiving your files with those deleted procedures in it. So when you run the cleanup, one of the things that you can do in a cleanup is actually purge those procedures so they won't be in your in the file that you will be archiving. Speaking of archiving, before you archive, I think you need to do a lockdown. And the lockdown is actually switching your file into a read-only state. So it depends on the country you're in. For different countries, there's a different period, the number of days after signing off on the audit before you actually need to do the lockdown. And we also did it in such a way we bundled multiple options. So if you run if you do the lockdown, you will be actually warned. Do you want to run a year-end close as well? If relevant, it will also show here an option. Do you want to run the cleanup before you actually do the lockdown? So it's nicely bundled. Try to make it as friendly as possible. Now I cannot show you a lockdown here in the file, but I'm going to do the same as they do in all the cooking shows. Look what here's my cake that's already done. And just to give you a little impression of a file that has been locked down, and what I wanted to show here is that all the documents now become grayed out. They have this little lock icon on the top, which means they cannot be edited. It's read only, although that also depends on how you've configured your security. So in a regular lockdown file without security, I can go in and I just need to provide a comment why I'm making a change. If you have the security switched on, then you need a security password before you can make any change to a locked down file. In case you are visited by a reviewer, we also give you the option to create a reviewer copy after lockdown. So then it's a separate copy. You can delete some documents, maybe some very private information from your client, and then have a review copy that you can then pass on to the reviewer. I think that's the end of the whole flow, going from A to Z through an audit engagement, setting it up, doing the risk assessment, doing the field work, doing the finalization and completion. So that sums up this portion of the videos. There's one more thing, that I'm going to do a video on, and that's Constellation. I will make that into a separate video, and it will be after this one.